Hello, and welcome back to our Python tutorial series. In this video, we'll be discussing another essential concept in programming, while loops. So what are while loops? While loops are blocks of code that will execute as long as a condition is true. So in order to start with a while loop, you need to use the while keyword, and then after that you provide a condition. As long as the condition is true, the while loop will run. So we provide the condition of true here, and we provide a colon after our condition. This will indicate the start of the while block. And then we go ahead and indent, and everything that is indented within this block will run. So if we go ahead and just run this code that we have right here, we can see that it's just printing out hi and it's not stopping. That is because we have our condition to while true, which means it'll keep running forever and ever. So go ahead and Control C this. So we can go ahead and modify our while loop to have a condition of while our count is less than 10, and we have count up here equaling to 0, and we are incrementing it by 1 each time we go through the while loop. So if we go ahead and run this, we can see that it stops printing hi after 10 iterations. This is controlling our condition to the while loop and choosing when to exit the while loop. So there are a couple neat features in Python when it comes to looping. One of them is break statements. This will allow you to exit a loop early based on whatever conditions you want or whenever you call the break keyword. So in this case, we've modified the code to add an if statement of if our count is equal to 5, we will go ahead and print we broke from the loop and we'll break out of this loop. If we go ahead and run this, we will see that it prints 5 times, which is the 5 iterations, and then it says broke from the loop and it stopped before it reached 10. So another neat thing about loops in Python is we can use the continue keyword. This will skip the rest of the current loop and go to the next iteration. So in this case, we've rearranged our code a little bit to say count plus equals 1 in the beginning. Then we have if our count is equal to 5, we would go ahead and print that we continued from the loop and then use the continue keyword. And after that, we will print the count of whatever our current count is. So if we go ahead and run this, go ahead and pull up our terminal, we can see it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, there is no 5, and it goes 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is because whenever we did hit this count equals 5, we continued skipping the rest of this loop and going on to the next iteration. The next interesting thing you can do with while loops is you can nest them inside of each other. So an example here is we have a variable x equal to 0, and we're saying while x is less than 3, so it'll loop 3 times. And we're going to say y is equal to 1, and while y is less than 3, so it'll loop 2 times, we will print x and y. And they will both increment after the end of each iteration. So if we go ahead and run this, we can see it prints 0, 1, 0, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2. So after each time this loop ends, it resets to y equals 1, as we can see when it doesn't go over 2, since it is less than 3. So we can use what we saw earlier in the video about adding a break statement into our while loop. We go ahead and put this in the second one, and break will only break out of the current loop. So in this case, it only breaks out of this current while loop. It does not break out of the while loop above that. So if we go ahead and run this, we can see it print out 0, 1, 1, 1, and 2, 1. Since our condition is if y equals 1, which is the first iteration of this inner while loop, it goes ahead and breaks this and never gets to 2. Another interesting thing about while loops is they actually have a secret else clause attached to them. And this else clause is only run if there is no breaks within the while loop and it does not stop for any reason. So for example, this x is equal to 0. Once this condition is no longer met and there is no breaks in between, it will go ahead and run whatever is in this else block. So if we go ahead and run this, we can see that it does complete successfully. Or we're going to go ahead and add this if x is equal to 1, and we're going to break. Whenever we go ahead and run this, it does not print out anything since the loop did not complete all the way to the end. All right, and we do have a little bonus code here. We have our x is equal to 1, and we're counting is equal to 0. We will go ahead and say as long as our count is less than 10, we're going to increment our x by 1. So whenever our x modulus 2 is equal to 0, which means if 2 goes into that number evenly without a remainder, then we will go ahead and execute this if statement here, which we will go ahead and print the number and increase the count. This will find the first 10 even numbers starting from 1. So if we go ahead and run this, we can see that it does print out the first 10 even numbers. Well, that's a basic introduction into while loops. If you found this helpful, leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more.